customers simplify choices for themselves.
You do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems.
The brands that will win are not necessarily the loudest brands. This is the book, Brand Brilliance Framework. Well done, Kendi. I'm so proud of you. You look brilliant. You are brilliant.
I think my first memory of Sylvia was when she was the brand manager for Sunlight. And she was like, remember there's a campaign of Kenya's national dress. Actually, when you're asking me what the dress code, I should have said national dress. But Sylvia was the brand manager of Sunlight that time. And I remember it was such an audacious project, right? And that was the beginning of like, wow. And then she went to Safaricom. At that time, it was like a startup, well, at least me in my mind. Like, what is she going to do where? And she went with Peter Arena. And I remember that time, Peter Arena, when he was telling us he's leaving, because he was obviously our boss, he said, guys, me, I'm tired of working in an industry that is declining. Let me go where it's growing. Okay, I'm tired of, compared to last year, I want future. And I remember I thought, that's interesting, because me, I just started working and that's all we knew. Is here to celebrate this with me. Is because Sylvia is such a, as you can see, she understands brand, but she has translated brand into building commercial growth. And she's one of the CEOs, I think it's Martin and I who are talking, we're saying we need more CEOs who understand brand. And I think the reason why Sylvia is such a powerful leader, number one, she can rally. I remember during COVID, we were busy doing burpees on Zoom, because we had this internal campaign for Fit for 2020. And we were there all of us doing burpees because she's a CrossFitter. She can rally an organization around a mission and you'll deliver it, right? So fantastic human, fantastic leader. She has somered me many times, somered me. But ultimately, she made me better. And I'm so grateful for her.
Please join me in welcoming a leader who has proven that brand brilliance is not theory, it is practice. Karibu, Sylvia Mulenge. Hi, clap again. Thank you.
Wow. The pressure. After such an intro, you cannot afford to disappoint. But good morning, everybody. Are we all good? It's amazing. I love what Grace said. It feels like a reunion of people that I've not seen for such a long period of time. Almost feels like a decade of not having connected. But really happy to be here. And thank you so much, first of all, to Kendi for the invitation. And the opportunity to be able to speak. And the opportunity to be able to speak to all of you. You're all smart people, so I think I'll only build on what you already know. It's wonderful to see personal friends like Kaki at the back. That was a nice surprise. Kaki, you need to tell me your formula for aging backwards, which you seem to have perfected. But really good to see old friends, colleagues that we've worked with over the years. Thank you so much, Kendi, for bringing us together. I hear you're now called CK and you even have a personal website. I can see you've taken branding to a whole new level. So I know as Kendi, this CK business, I will learn it. It sounds very AI, but I think I have to step up and catch up with how the rest of the world must be. But really, congratulations. I won't go through my intro for the new friends that are in the room. But basically, as Kendi has said, I have been in the trenches of building brands, learning it as a craft, making it a practice. And I have to confess upfront that I didn't learn branding in a classroom. I actually did not do any branding or marketing course. Everything I learned it in the market, I learned it in the arts of execution, I learned it doing the job and seeing the real world results that we were able to deliver from that. So, but I do know Kotler. I did Kotler when I was in university. I know all the 4 Ps. Now I know there are 4 plus the 7 that you have given us today, and I think that it's actually a brilliant formula. So, and probably the reason why I share that is because that's why today is truly special in terms of what Kendi is seeking to do. A book is about bringing the ideas that you had, the experiences that you have, and actually putting it together from the perspective of thinking that it goes beyond yourself. It's a system of thinking about legacy, right? I know it's a lot of personal sacrifice, a lot of conviction that you've put into this, a mark of courage. And Kendi, I really want to celebrate you in terms of the steps that you have taken. Because what you're making sure is that the rest of the people who want to follow in our paths not only have to learn from the place of experience, but also from a codified system which they can be able to employ to be able to create and change their own world. So well done for being a change maker. And there are few of them, but I'm proud to be standing alongside you in this one. So, as Kendi has said, she has invited me to spend a few minutes having a conversation with you and sharing some thoughts around how do we build brands that customers defend, not just buy. And I want to start off from, I honestly can't remember where I had this definition, but there's something that in my early days, I think I don't know if I was in India, we had gone for a visit somewhere, and in interactions with the leaders, somebody said something that was very profound to me, and which has really kind of shaped the way I think about brand building and owning brands. What that individual said, and it's such a wow, how come I can't? Okay, anyway, I'll probably figure it out. But what the person said was that brands, what is a brand? They actually asked us a question in a room. And I mean, people had different perspectives. And if I ask that today, I'm sure everybody will tell me something different. Some of you will say brands are experiences. Some will say, probably if you're coming from the creative background or an agency background, you'll say, a brand is a logo, it's a brand color palette that we use, it's a smart tagline that connects with people. And all of these things matter. But I think ultimately what I have come to understand is that brands or a brand is a real estate that you occupy in a customer's mind. And I'll allow that to sink in and probably provoke it a bit more by asking you, if you think about mobile money, what pops into your head? M-Pesa, hi Agnes, good to see you. M-Pesa pops in your head. If you think about beer, what pops into your head? Tusker. And it's not necessarily because you drink beer, right? But when you think beer, that's what pops in your head, right? If you think about bankia members, what pops into your mind? Equity, all right. If you think about whiskey, well, I don't drink whiskey. What do you think? Why Johnny Walker? Because it allows you to keep on walking. But I'm just trying to provoke. If you think about, okay, there's some categories probably where there's a lot more work that needs to be done. If you think about toilet paper, what brand comes to your head? Oh, I know. Okay, cool. Oh, not Faye or, okay. All right. So they probably, and at the end of the day, it's not really a category that is very differentiated, right? So what makes it stand out in your head? Because at the end of the day, toilet paper is toilet paper, right? But if more than 30 or 40 or 50% of the room pop up the name of one brand, what you have to ask is, what has that brand done in a category that is not very much differentiated, that allows them to be able to own the real estate that they have in a customer's mind? And I think the reason why I choose to kind of take this angle is because if you think about today, and we all know this, there's scarcity to be able to earn that space in a customer's mind. Customers have many options. Today's world is a world which has a lot of, technology has allowed things to be able to move faster. We have access to information at our fingertips. With the coming of AI and ChatGPT, you can basically have access to anything that you want, information that you want all over in the world in a limited time. And therefore, if customers have so many options, the reality is in a world where you go and you ask somebody, you walk into a restaurant and they ask you, what do you want? I say, I want tea. They ask you, do you want tea with milk or tea without milk? Do you want tea with sugar, tea without sugar? Do you want it green? Do you want it fruity? I mean, there are so many choices. And ultimately, I think as a process of building resilience in our minds as human beings, ultimately what then happens is that you don't keep all those options in your head because there are too many options. To simplify your life, right? You end up not remembering 10 options. You just remember one or maybe two. And that's why probably when you walk into a mall that probably has, let's say, you walk into Westgate. Westgate maybe has, 5, 10 different shops that sell different clothes of attire. The brand that has struck you, you probably just walk in and walk straight to that shop. If you're buying sports gear, for those of you who are in fitness, you're very clear. You're either an Adidas person or a Nike person. So customers simplify choices for themselves because it makes their lives easier. And therefore, if that then is the way customers think, then we have then to figure out how do we build that mental real estate that we want to occupy in their minds. And if branding then is real estate, then our job is not just to build a house or rent space. Your job is to take land in a way that allows you to be able to claim it in a defensible manner, and that allows you then to not only stay there, but actually get customers to drive recommendation and engagement for you. Now, if we then define, branding as a real estate, or brand as a real estate that you occupy in a customer's mind, then you have to ask yourself, if this real estate is land, what is the currency with which you're purchasing this real estate? And I think increasingly over years, Kendi has spoken about how we have evolved as marketeers. In our early days, it was about the size of your campaign, the ability for you to be able to have the highest reach, what was the size of your budget, so you would go in with big budgets to be able to drive big positions, big brand positions and everything. But what you realize increasingly today is that we are operating in a space where customers today, I think just because of the amount of information that they are bombarded with every day, they are informed, they are connected, these customers are vocal, where in spaces where reputations are being shaped in real time, a space where a screenshot can travel faster than a corporate response on an event that happens on a brand, and where a single misstep, but also a single right step, can escalate globally within hours. And therefore, the pathways that we had traditionally of doing brand building, where we would go through the process and the framework that I think Kendi has defined is absolutely fantastic. You define what is your purpose, you define who is the person that you want to reach, captured by people, and not only the people that you want to reach, but also the people that you want to work with to be able to deliver that. You define your path to market, your presence, and everything. But I think over and above all that, the realization that we have today is that the currency with which you can sustainably build your brand over a long period of time is a currency called trust. And in the trust economy that we are in today, we purchase our reputation through the moments that our customers have to be able to interact with us. We build competitive advantage through transparency of the brand offering that we have. We build growth, recommendation, engagement through the authenticity of what we reflect back, the values that we have. And that's why starting off from the place of purpose, asking ourselves, what is the value that we want to stand for? What do we want to be known for? And it's not only even just for corporate brands, even for personal branding. Who am I when nobody else is looking? When people interact with me, when people interact with my product or my service, what do I want them to remember me for? What are the values that you want them to remember me for? And you realize that if you crack that and you build engagement, ultimately, the way you build your presence is not just through your distribution channel, or as Kendi has spoken to, but it's also about leveraging communities, brand, word of mouth recommendations, people recommendations to be able to drive that real estate ownership that you want to achieve. And trust is equals to balance sheets, is equals to real world results that you're producing as a product owner. It's about your purchasing decisions. It influences what customers buy. So when I walk into a supermarket aisle or I go into Amazon and I'm presented with thousands of choices, what is the process within which I'm making my purchasing decision? It has an impact in terms of the people that you hire. Because as a business or as a leader, you want to hire people who are reflecting the values that you want your brand to stand for. It has an impact in terms of the investment decisions that you're making, where you're putting your money, where you're allocating your capital. Because your capital allocation is actually then drives the realization of that which you want your brand to stand for out there in the marketplace. And it also helps you determine who are the people that you want to partner with, right? Who are the people that you want to have in the circle that is around you to be able to build that which you want to bring alive in the market. If you think about it, platforms like, for example, Airbnb, whoever came up with that concept, I don't think the mind that I had before could be able to visualize that you could actually create a whole product and a whole brand and service where strangers go stay in strangers' homes. And the only reason why they do that is because they trust their brand that has been reviewed, that has been verified by the rest of the community. And because of that brand building that has been done and that trust economy that has been built around Airbnb, we now have an industry that is in the billions of dollars that is across the world. So trust ultimately as a currency reduces friction, and less friction then means faster growth. I remember when I went into MTN about 4 years ago when I started off my time there. And the first day when I walked into the boardroom, when you walk into an organization, everybody thinks you're the one who has come with a strategy. Everybody is looking up to you with this savior mentality. And as I sat in the boardroom with the leaders of the organization, my first time meeting them, to be quite honest, I didn't have any scripts. I had come with an open canvas. And my question to them was to ask, what is the kind of legacy? What is the kind of organization? What do we want to be made? What do we want to become famous for? And as a way of kind of distracting the attention from myself and also trying to get everyone in the room and lean on the collective intelligence that was there, I posed that question and I asked everybody, give me your perspective of what you think we are here to do and what we can jointly create together in my first conversation with the leadership team. And I remember there's somebody who said something that really, really resonated. It actually impacted me. And that ended up becoming the reason that inspired us, the purpose that was bringing us together as a leadership team. And the way we ended up framing it is that the reason why we were all existing there in that leadership circle was that we wanted to build a brand that would become the subconscious choice of every person who interacted with it in Uganda. Become the subconscious choice. And if you think about that, that's a very, very lofty ambition. Because if you think about it, the things that you do subconsciously, how do you get to that place of making a recommendation, talking to someone? Let's say your son or your child calls you, or a friend calls you and tells you, I'm in the supermarket, I need to pick some lotion. Which one should I pick? You will recommend that brand that you recommend subconsciously. How have you gotten to that place of driving that recommendation without having to think about it? It means that it must be a moment that you have had. It means that there is credibility that has been delivered. You're willing to put your name and your word on it. It means that you're operating in a place of trust. And by the time you're recommending it to that person, first of all, it's top of mind awareness for you, right? But also, you're putting your personal kind of stamp on it because it has grown in the place of trust. And therefore, for us, that then has become kind of our guiding mission. How do we build, as a company, a brand that is a subconscious choice of every Ugandan? And for me, then, that then guides the thinking that has influenced how we have built our strategy. There is a book I think all of us are familiar with, that, the book by James Clear, Atomic Habits, where he talks about systems. And he says, you do not rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. And if then we have to think about systemizing excellence, right? And we think about brand building as a system. The reason why we are in this room today is because we are being presented with a framework that allows us then to begin to think around how do we build excellence in the brands that we create by thinking around the system that exists around that. And the reason why system thinking is important is because system thinking operates on the fact that everything that is around you is reinforcing that value or the experience that you want to create for your brand. When the system is aligned, right, the system that you create to reinforce what your brand stands for, you realize that the messaging that you have, regardless of the industry that you're in, matches the experience. So you can't tell me something on a brand campaign, right? And yet when I walk into your store, or when I come to do the purchasing journey, or when I interact with the first time I'm buying your product, I'm unveiling it, your messaging and the experience moments that I have as a customer must match, right? When you think about a system, it then means that every experience or every moment that your customer is interacting with your product is there for the purpose of reinforcing the positioning that you have. And you can't have positioning if you haven't started off by articulating what Kendi has shared with us here around our purpose. I believe that if we systemize the process of brand building across the organization, it builds higher retention. It allows you in a category that is highly commoditized, like I spoke about, maybe toilet paper, to get a premium pricing versus everybody else. It allows you to get strong referrals, and we all know today in the world that we're in, with social media and everything, where customers' referrals are the key dollar that drives growth. And it also ensures that when the difficult days come, you have deposited enough in the real estate of your customer's mind to be able to withdraw, and the customer still has the capacity to be able to forgive you. Inevitably, what you realize is that branding and the relationship
that a customer has with your brand and the brands that we all seek to build today is very much like a personal relationship, right? For those of you who, whether it's, spouses, you have partners, you have friends, every day I'm constantly seeking to deposit in that relationship, right? Whether it's with my children, for example, I have two, Jason and Jasmine. I make sure that every day I'm talking to Jason and Jasmine. Jason is studying in the UK, Jasmine is in boarding school, but every day we will make, even if it's 5 or 10 minutes to connect. Why is that important? Because I'm depositing, right? And they're also depositing in me. And what happened and what you realize is that when the tough days come, so for example, as a mother, you're raising your children, there are days when your children will do something that upsets you, right? Or sometimes there are things that I will do that will disappoint them in my role as a mother. But what do we then do? Because we have built enough deposits, on the days that your brand suffers those challenges, customers will go back and withdraw from that deposit that you have made. And that is what allows you to be able to weather the storm. Because the reality of the work that we do in business is that ultimately those days will come. There are days when systems will fail, right? I work in a technology company where the technology that we offer is kind of like the football pitch upon which we do everything that we need to do. And sometimes that pitch does not work the way it needs to. But if you have built enough deposits in your customer's account, what does that mean? That the day when you need to do that withdrawal, customers are more forgiving. And in fact, inevitably what you find that in this trust economy that you're building, remember the things I spoke about earlier, authenticity, being transparent. When those days come, if I come as a leader and I tell customers, today I failed you, I'm sorry. This is what I thought it would happen. This is what ended up happening. Customers are willing to be more forgiving. They will even defend you in that moment of crisis, right? And that works so much more powerfully than the corporate responses that we have to put up, because they are the ones who end up becoming your defense. But that defense is built in the place where you have actually deposited enough in the customer's accounts to be able to defend you. And therefore, for me, what I have come to understand, what I have come to believe, is that if you design your brand as a system, trust then becomes inevitable. And with that trust that you then secure, you're able to consistently purchase more and more space, more and more land in the customer's mind that then allows you to become that subconscious choice. Now, the realization, and I say this with all due respect to all the great agencies and marketers in the room, is that brand is not necessarily what we say. To everyone who is building a brand and who has the aspiration to build a brand, even the CK brand that Kendi is doing, it's about what you consistently do. It is what customers are able to tolerate when your standards slip. It is what gets rewarded often when no one is applauding. And it's also the decisions that you as a brand builder and the customer have to make when there is pressure, and especially for many of us who are responsible for building brands, sometimes when there is no audience. It is behavior. It is how an organization handles a complaint at 9 a.m. in the morning when your systems are broken. It is honesty or an apology when things go wrong, to be able to stand up in front of a customer and say that things did not work out as I had committed to you. Brand building is about when you have to make the choice of, as a brand leader, am I choosing convenience or am I choosing the more difficult path of integrity? Brand building is about the way we communicate, even in the organization. It's the tone of an email. It is the way we greet each other. I love the initial question that you were asked, how do you say hello in your own brand or marketing speak? We all communicate differently based on the cultures that we have. And it is that feeling that whoever has interacted with your brand feels long after the transaction is complete. Brand building is not created in boardrooms. It is actually created in the moments that we get our customers and those clients or people to get to have when they interact with that which you're offering. And that's why for me, I made the time and the sacrifice. I think I arrived home at 2 a.m. in the morning because I don't work here and I was traveling. And I came here to support Kendi's message, which is captured in the book, that brand building is a system. It's not a message, no matter how great the message is. The message just brings alive the overall experience that you want to deliver. And therefore, if brand is a system, it cannot sit in marketing alone. It must sit with your leadership. It must sit from the top. It must percolate through organization. It must be the operations that we offer. It must sit with governance in terms of how we govern the organization. It must sit with culture. And as we have been motivated here, inspired, trust compounds. Because if you consistently deliver that which you have promised is the experience that you want your customer to have, then that consistency creates a compounding effect that allows you then to continue to own a lot more real estate in your customer's mind. So the brands that will win are not necessarily the loudest brands. Being loud is good. But the brand that will win sustainably is not the one that is loudest, is not the one that is most visible, but is the one that is chosen automatically, the one that is chosen subconsciously. To be subconscious means that a customer should never hesitate to use you. They should have no comparison, they should have no debate. That level of preference is not built through advertising alone. That level of excellence is earned through trust that is built through a system of excellence. The key thing to remember is that brand will impact the overall generation of wealth that we seek to create. It goes beyond reputation. It impacts our customer acquisition costs, because if customers love you, they recommend you, you don't have to invest as much to be able to drive acquisition. It drives conversion rate. It drives retention. It allows you to be able to drive pricing power. It drives referral. It builds and drives your hiring quality, because people, especially the Gen Zs of today, do not want to work with brands that are not built in purpose and that are recommended by customers. And it also builds investor confidence. I'll tell you, when you're doing any M&A transaction, one of the things that you'll normally consider as you do the due deal on a company and do the valuation of the company is what is the brand equity that is cited. It is an intangible asset that actually sits on your balance sheet. And therefore, it cannot be the responsibility of one person alone. Branding is a financial multiplier in every organization. And I will also tell you that even this moves on even to your own personal branding. For those of you who are also working on building your own personal brands. Personal brands, when rooted in integrity, build sustainable messaging for us to be able to drive the purpose where we are. And I think ultimately, even for leaders, it leans and lends back into the organization. For a long time, I was one of those people who did not want to kind of go on the personal branding space because of experiences that I had had. But I think I got to the place of understanding that my personal branding as a leader has a big impact on the corporate and the organization that I'm leading. Because when people see the person behind the position, the organization ends up feeling less distant. When leadership is able to communicate, when people know you as a person who communicates with clarity, you are a person who connects with them in terms of their daily circles of life, then your corporate brand ends up becoming a lot more relatable. So to all the leaders in the room, and especially those who are big on building brands that will outlive them, remember that you also have the opportunity to be able to lend your personal credentials into your brand. And inevitably, you also find that your brand also lends back to you. So, Kendi, thank you for reminding us that the strongest brands are not the loudest. They are the ones who are most trusted. And that the process of building trust is a process of excellence, a process of system building. And I think if we do this well, if you do that well as a leader, if you do that well as a brand builder, you will not only create a brand that outlives you, but you will also create a brand that not only makes your business look good, but also makes your business work better. The long and short of it is this. If you ignore your brand, you will spend the rest of your budget compensating for the lack of the presence of your blood. So let's build brands that outlive us. Let us build brands that are bought by trust. For that is the only way that we'll end up becoming the subconscious choice in whichever category we are participating in for the customers that we serve. Thank you very much, and God bless you all.
All the stuff that we don't want to do, AI can do. The stuff that we want to we like doing, we can do. Sylvia, do you want to answer that?
Which on technology, the thing is, I think initially when AI came, and especially in organizations, people who have roles that are very digitized, automated, but ultimately what you have come to discover is exactly what Sarah has said, is that it creates a lot more effectiveness and efficiency, and ultimately the person who does not know how to use AI is the one who's going to be rendered irrelevant. Because if you're sitting here with your traditional ways of trying to get work done, to deliver ideas, to get whatever objective you've been given done, and you're with somebody who knows how to use AI, they will beat you, they will be smarter, they will be cheaper, they'll be more effective, they'll do it brilliantly because it's a machine learning system that's building on it. So the challenge to all of us is to digitize ourselves, digitize our marketing, and be confident that that which you bring, when any of the panelists here, and I think it's been a great panel, you guys are really smart. You should have been the keynotes, all of you. I mean, everything that you bring, the uniqueness, the humanity of what you have gone through is what creates your leverage and what creates your difference and what creates your moat that becomes very difficult for somebody else to be able to copy. So use AI, don't run away from it. Be the person who is the most efficient and effective, as Sarah has said in the room, but also trust in that innate ability. We all have unique fingerprints that AI can never replace. Be confident in that.
Fantastic. This question is, just hold the mic, to MDQ and to Sylvia, as I see her actively building her brand. You're being seen. Actively build your brand, your personal brand. What was your biggest lesson when building your personal brand? And where are you right now when it comes to your personal brand? From Anonymous.
Hi, Anonymous. I think it's what Martin said. I did not start out on a journey of brand building. I just decided to open the door and let people see my life. And that's because I came to the point where, first of all, I've gone through this horrible experience in building my past, not really building, but let's just say I've gone through this horrible experience, which was trashed all over social media. That was totally untrue. And I went and hid. And then I got to the point where somebody once said, but that's not you, Sylvia. We all know you. And therefore, whatever these people are trying to offer as a perspective of you is not who you are. And I realized, first of all, I don't like being bullied. And I realized that I needed to stand up to these people who are bullying me. And the more I ran away, the more I created an opportunity for them to take what they were doing to me and go do it to others. So first of all, the thing that inspired me, kind of the pivot moment that maybe opened the door to my life, was that moment and saying that I'm not going to be bullied and boxed into a perception that I'm not, an avatar that does not exist, because that is not me.
And then also the second thing was the fact that I realized that for me to be able to live out my purpose here on earth, what God brought me here to do, which is all about humanizing leadership, I needed to leverage the communication technology of today so that I could speak to people. So if you think about it, I once had somebody say this, it's not original, but somebody said that if you look at all the presidents, they were using the American presidents, they leveraged the technology of their time. So when it was radio, I can't remember, was it Truman or whoever won during that time, leverage radio. When it was, think about when it was Obama leveraged, mobilization of that. That was the language that people were understanding then. Look at Trump. Trump bought X. Right? Because and that's how he used to shape his perception. So if you're not speaking the language of today, how will you be heard? Right? And how will you live out your purpose? How will you create awareness of what it is that you are and what it is that you're building? And I think what then keeps you going, because it's not easy, it's the fact that there's so many people who need what you have. And you realize that the reason why you're blessed, why you're raised, is not for yourself, it's for everybody else. And we have to stop being selfish with the experiences that we go through. The great experiences as well as the tough experiences. Listening to you and what you've gone through, blankets and wine, you come back to people connect with the authenticity of the challenges that we go through. So long as we are willing to be open and vulnerable about that. And vulnerability is a seriously understated leadership trait that the world needs more of today. We have to stop using filters. We have to stop trying to show that the world is a perfect place, because in reality, that's not the world that people live in. And the more we, especially for the young people, the more we lie to them that is how the world is, the more we are setting them up for failure. So in whichever way, and I'm not saying that, whichever way you choose to reveal to the world who you are. You can do it through social media, you can do it through one-on-ones. You can also be called to a smaller circle that does not require you to be public. Whichever way you do it, right? Because we are all different. Just make sure that it's authentic and know that it's about building something that is greater than yourself. That always keeps it in perspective, keeps you growing, keeps you humble. And I think ultimately the legacy that we want is the legacy that we leave in others, because that's ultimately what will be remembered for. I don't know if I've answered, but
yeah. Mudali?
Yeah, and I must say it's been quite great watching you open up. We deserve it. You're our girl boss. Someone is calling Kendi my boss. You're our boss. And I think it's been really good to see you become more comfortable and at ease with us seeing you. It's really valuable. Personally, for me, it's been really valuable. So thank you so much for that.